By the 16th century, the descendants of the Normans who had arrived in Ireland in the 12th century found themselves in a precarious and conflicted position. Known as the Old English, these Irish Normans had originally come to Ireland as part of an invasion sanctioned by the English crown. They had settled in Ireland, married into native Irish families, and over generations became deeply integrated into Irish society. However, this integration led to a unique identity crisis and political tensions, as they were seen as outsiders by both the native Irish and the English colonizers, who were trying to solidify their control over Ireland during the Tudor conquest. The Norman invasion of Ireland began in 1169, when Dermot MacMurrough, a deposed Irish king, sought the help of Richard de Clare, also known as Strongbow, to regain his throne. The Normans, who had already established themselves as a powerful force in England after the 1066 conquest, saw Ireland as an opportunity to expand their influence. Over time, they gained significant control over Irish territories, establishing their own fiefdoms and building impressive castles throughout the country. While the Normans initially maintained their distinct cultural identity, they gradually adopted many aspects of Irish life, including language, customs, and laws. Many Normans became so Gaelicized that they were virtually indistinguishable from the native Irish. This process of assimilation led to tensions with the English crown, which increasingly saw these Irish Normans as a problem. They were no longer seen as loyal subjects of the English monarchy, but rather as a hybrid group that straddled the line between English and Irish identity. Despite their adoption of Irish customs, the Irish Normans were still viewed with suspicion and hostility by many native Irish. For centuries, they had been the conquerors, taking land and power from the native Gaelic lords. The Normans had imposed their own feudal system on Ireland, replacing traditional Gaelic laws with English common law in many areas. As a result, they were often resented as foreign occupiers, even as they became more Irish in their daily lives. This tension was exacerbated by the fact that the Irish Normans were still viewed as part of the English ruling class, despite their deep ties to Ireland. Many native Irish clans continued to resist Norman control, seeing the Irish Normans as agents of English oppression. Though they shared many cultural similarities with the native Irish, the Normans' historical role as invaders and their continued ties to the English crown made it difficult for them to fully integrate into Gaelic society. On the other hand, the English crown increasingly viewed the Irish Normans as a threat to English rule in Ireland. By the 16th century, under the reign of the Tudor monarchs, England sought to reassert its authority over Ireland, which had become a fractured and unstable region. The English government implemented a policy known as surrender and regrant, which aimed to force both Gaelic lords and Irish Normans to submit fully to English rule in exchange for being regranted their lands under English law. The Irish Normans, who had long enjoyed a degree of autonomy in their territories, were resistant to this centralization of power. Their hybrid identity, caught between Irish and English culture, made them targets of suspicion. The Tudor monarchy, particularly under Henry VIII and Elizabeth II, saw them as unreliable and potentially dangerous. To the English, the Irish Normans were not English enough to be trusted, especially in a time when religious and political loyalty were becoming increasingly important. Religiously, this period also saw the Protestant Reformation sweep through England, while Ireland remained largely Catholic. The Irish Normans, many of whom were Catholic, became viewed as potential allies of the Catholic European powers, especially Spain, which threatened English control of Ireland. The result of these dynamics was that by the 16th century, the Irish Normans found themselves marginalized by both the native Irish and the English authorities. To the native Irish, they were still seen as foreign conquerors, while to the English they were viewed as unreliable subjects who had become too Irish to be trusted. The Irish Normans were caught in a difficult position, where their identity as Old English became a source of tension and vulnerability. Many Irish Norman families, such as the Fitzgeralds and Butlers, tried to navigate this complex political landscape by playing both sides. Some aligned themselves with the English crown, hoping to retain their lands and status, while others joined forces with the native Irish in rebellion against English rule. This divided loyalty often led to internal conflicts within Irish Norman families as they struggled to survive in a changing political environment. As English colonization efforts in Ireland intensified, the Irish Normans gradually lost much of their influence and power. The Tudor conquest of Ireland, which culminated in the 9 Years' War, 1594-1603, and the flight of the Earls in 1607, effectively ended the era of the Irish Norman lords. Their lands were confiscated and redistributed to English settlers, and their role in Irish society diminished. The once powerful Irish Norman families were either absorbed into the English aristocracy or marginalized along with the native Irish. Despite their decline, the Irish Normans left a lasting legacy in Ireland. Many of the castles, towns, and legal structures they established remained part of the Irish landscape for centuries. Their hybrid culture, which blended Irish and Norman influences, contributed to the rich tapestry of Irish history. The tensions they faced, being caught between two identities, echoed in the centuries of conflict that would follow in Ireland as questions of loyalty, identity, and belonging continued to shape the nation's history. The story of the Irish Normans in the 16th century is a testament to the complexities of colonialism, identity, and power. It illustrates how a group that once wielded significant influence could become marginalized by both the colonizers they represented and the people they sought to assimilate into.